Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So, today, I want to be clever. I'm going to use a tablet. Use a tablet with, with technologies at work. And I'm going to read something that I've been kind of actually editing. I know. Well, not so much editing, it's just copying, pasting different things from different places and just, oh, well, that kind of doesn't fit because that was directed at the person's comment, so nobody's going to have any idea what to talk about, so deleted that. And, yeah. I don't like to edit for, you know, obvious reasons that I shouldn't have to explain to those who already understand. And to those who don't understand, they wouldn't understand if I tried to explain it. So, moving on. Get all that? What I wanted to talk about today is, well, cracks me up when I hear it. Well, that's another one of the things like I just talked about. There's no such thing as God. Cracks me up when I hear people say that. Okay. And immediately I just want to ask, how do you know? And basically, all any of them can come up with is, I don't. Well, to me, it seems kind of important, and 50-50 doesn't seem like a safe enough bet. Just saying. But the fact of the matter is, they're just saying that to make themselves feel better. Nobody actually believes that. You want to say there's no such thing as God? Well, guess what? I don't believe in atheists. There's no such thing as atheists. Nope. 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 La la la, no such thing as atheists. I don't believe them. If I put my hand through you, it would just phase through you like you were some sort of CNN hologram. Yes. No, that's not what I'm saying actually. See, there's no such thing as an atheist. Atheists just don't exist. Only people who are in denial of the obvious, inexplicable, inexplicable pronunciation of that word. There is no such thing as an atheist. Only people who are in denial of the obvious, inexplicable nature of existence. There is no one who is 100% convinced that God doesn't exist because nobody can prove it. There's plenty of evidence to the contrary, all circumstantial, but there is absolutely no evidence that God does not exist. Nobody's even thought of a way to test such a thing. That's called God's will. The fact of the matter is, everyone calls out to God when they're about to die or when they're about to, you know. And most atheists are so behind on science that they can't even call their beliefs a religion because no religion is so grammatically contradictory. No religion changes the entirety of its fundamental tenets several times per century. Not last I checked. Now, we're not talking small debates here, people. We're talking about fundamentals of the main way they understand. I mean, is Pluto a fucking planet or not? Come on, make up your mind. And well, to believe in the Big Bang is to believe that 0 plus 0 equals 1, or 0 plus 0 actually equals infinity. So, no space, no time, no matter, no energy, nothing. And suddenly, everything. Okay. Sounds like you just proved God exists to me. Otherwise, your equation, oh, it doesn't fucking balance out, does it? Just put a big G right there. Because he had G in the house. You heard? No, it doesn't mean gravity. I, I got taught in a little church, fucking, might have been Freemasonry connected, but I didn't. Like, they taught you about Freemasonry, so I guess it probably was Freemasonry connected, but it was like a Boy Scouts type thing that was like church groups from the different Baptist church in the Houston area, kind of. All right, and got together and had like spitball fights with slingshots and stuff, and like big built cardboard castles, and learn usual Boy Scout stuff and tree house building and stuff like that. Okay, well, I remember getting taught that the gravity thing is kind of a lower initiate bullshit thing. And, that was by somebody who considered me to be a little bit prodigious. So, anyways, there is nothing more intellectually dishonest and rooted in emotional insecurity as an atheist who tries to speak about religion to excuse their lack of courage. The fact is that the intellectuals, by and large, failed the Christian community and failed America by capitulating to unfounded science instead of helping the now hypocritical masses to actually pay attention to what Christ said. And since you decided it wasn't your problem, there's a lot less people to protect you from the next Muslim horde. Oh, I was just doing a little bit of research on the various colors of hordes and conates. There's a lot of interesting possible ambiguities there, let's just say. But that's not what this video is about. This video is emphasizing the point of what the existence of those possibilities mean for the general discourse of society and how it's basically fallen to shit. Oh, okay. I'm getting comfortable here without getting the shadow on my face so my teeth look brown. My teeth are actually just a little bit more yellow than my eyes. Yeah. Oh, maybe a little more, a bit yellower than a bit more yellower than my eyes. Okay. Only the wisdom teeth that came in have really fallen out, though. I still got most of my teeth. Not bad for a southerner who hasn't seen the dentist in, oh God, very, very long time. Since before Katrina. So anyway. So, now, while the horde advances once again, I mean, it's really getting just hard to deny it. Most of these people that you see on TV, they're innocent. I know. They're being used. This is how it happens every time. Okay? And it's funny that the places that these hordes are sent from are the places where the scholars that told you otherwise were also sent from. Oh, but they've all seen the light and wanted to live in democracy, right? They just wanted to forget everything they learned their entire life rather than come and teach it here. Please. So, anyway, now we're left with two sides barking straw man arguments right past each other. Atheists attacking people for being Christian who aren't even Christians, and a bunch of morons claiming to be Christians just to justify their hatred of people. The hypocrites of Christianity desire war. The hypocrites of Islam desire peace. If you're a secular Muslim, I want you to know that calling yourself that is kind of contradictory. Be a proud Arab and call yourself a secular Arab, a rational Arab, an Arab who has sense, a proud Arab, just a proud Arab, just be an Arab. Nothing wrong with being an Arab. But following a fascist government system that seeks to impose itself on the entire world and disguise itself as a religion, you need to separate yourself from that. It ain't cool. So, what we have, at least in this country, between the atheists and the Christians, or the right wing puppets and the left wing puppets, because nobody actually on TV that you hear speaking the loudest represents what most people think and feel in their hearts, you know? But what you have is two groups of morons who are doing nothing more than rationalizing their own inequities. So the question remains, where did the truth go? Well, unfortunately, it seems to have died on the cross. And only the penitent at heart can find it. There is no intellectual solution, because to presume so denies the existence of an intellectual enemy. Meanwhile, most of what both sides claim to know was in fact given to them by Muslims and Kabbalists claiming to be atheist and secular scholars. That is the entire truth of the argument of both sides. Both sides are hollow, straw man arguments. Anyone who says otherwise is selling something. But what do I know? It's not like I'm the man who summons lightning or anything. Whatever you do, don't Google it. Then you'll be forced to actually take something I say seriously. Because you'll be wondering, is he Jesus or is he a demon? Oh, yes. Because you know how demons go around just playing around with thunderstorms. On TV. Okay? There's no magic like that in this time. There isn't a false prophet around who can do anything like that without the assistance of technologies. Okay? And I am just sitting here with my head trapped in a tiny little box. Okay? Okay. I get amused by all the trolls who come to basically prove me right. It seems like they really think they're making some kind of logical sounding argument that other people are going to agree with. When the fact is that if there's anybody who is decent, anybody who is a civilized person, anybody who is a true Christian, who sees them mocking me. All you're doing is furthering my case. All you're doing is making me look as legitimate as I rightfully should be. The fact of the matter is, when people quote scripture in order to deny me, what they are quoting to me proves their denial and not mine. I'm looking this way, that's not on the notes or tablet. Ooh, it's a tablet. I wonder if Moses had one of these. Oh shit, the tablet's kind of weighing down the camera. Had a little Jeremy Clarkson moment. Jeremy, I could only wish that you were one of my subscribers. That'd be awesome. Jeremy Clarkson was like secretly trolling on the internet for flat Earth videos. I could kind of see that in a way. Power. Those rockets aren't large enough. Okay. Anyway. So, speaking of the baby Jesus, to the trolls who attempt to mock me and only further my cause, for that cause is God's will. You have no case against me because you have no cause against me, other than the pre-programmed response to reject all those who claim to be that which I do not claim to be. I have no need to claim to be such things. If I claimed to be such things, I would be saying so out of ignorance. And I would have known what I was going to say just then before I said it. Okay. The reason why this is the case is for the reason that I stated. That many would come saying, I am Christ, or there is Jesus. But I do not make such claims. I have no need of them. I teach a truth that was not written. I have a name that no man knew until I knew it. It wasn't even a Google search result or, Yahoo or all that. There was actually a lot of different search engines back then. That was in 1994, so. That's the time where I had to teach myself how to play Pink Floyd The Wall on all four instruments by ear in order to put myself back to sleep. I can still play most of it. Still have most of the instruments. I don't have a drum kit anymore. I miss having a drum kit. Anyway. No, I'm not random. Where was I? Scroll buttons, scrolling through the night. What? So, I do not make such ignorant claims, for I have no need of them. I teach a truth that was not written, and I speak my own memories. This is, at the very least, even somebody who's watching this who's purely intellectual must agree that what I am allowing myself to have full faith in is, at the very least, an interesting intellectual experiment. Or wait, no, I had it written down. An interesting experiment of consciousness experience. Yes. But I don't lie, and I'm not on drugs. Okay, so you don't need to accuse me of having my judgment clouded or having ulterior motives. I don't even know why someone would do what I'm doing with an ulterior motive. Like there's plenty of people who have these well produced flat Earth videos that all seem to be pointing one way, and I'm the one guy putting his fat head in a little tiny box, trying to say, "Hey, wait a minute, that's not God's plan." And you're offending God with the way you speak of the world being controlled by the devil. Because as we all know, God is in control. Okay, sorry. Anyway, I grew up singing in church. So, I may be a goofy bastard, but I have a proven scholastic and professional record, and I don't need to feel intellectually inferior to any man. And that's kind of a quote. Okay, and I've been told plenty such things by all people of relevant expertise, including, from people I was learning from on the job who had much more experience than me, to, you know, teachers who were like, I, I mean, just to give myself credibility, I have to say this because this is the truth that actually happened. There's been college classes where the teacher had me stand up and surprise me by making everybody clap for me because they wouldn't have learned as much if it wasn't for me being in that class with them. That was more than a decade away. Like, I wasn't like some old guy, you know. But that was the one I was thinking of was interpersonal communication. Before that, it usually happened in high school in math and science class. But interpersonal communication and 2 semesters. Anyway, I think it was called something different, but I'm not one of those instant recall type memories. All right, I would get mutilated on Jeopardy. Okay, I have to slowly and deeply think about things, or write them on a tablet, or scribble scratch hieroglyphic like English things that I attempt to read from tiny notepads. Yeah. So, anyway, no, I don't digress. I just wandered the fuck off. Closed the door behind me. Didn't even leave a note. Okay. Anyway. The fact is, I do like to laugh at myself. And I strongly encourage anyone who intends to learn anything, to progress spiritually in any way. One of the most important things you need to do is learn how to laugh at yourself. Okay? Because guess what? If you're aware of the fact that most people are dumbasses, you need to be aware that sometimes you're a dumbass too. Oh, sometimes I'm a dumbass. Keeps things exciting, doesn't it? And well, what it all boils down to is if what this little 1,400 and something people on this channel, maybe a few hundred real actual subscribers are doing right now, okay? This truth, okay? If this truth doesn't win, Islam will. Those are the two possible futures. Just saying. Not the false Christians, not the false Jews. The Buddhists won't fight back. The Hindus fight amongst themselves, just as it seems even the Muslims do. But if there's one thing the Muslims can unite around, it's the spread of Islam. Okay? Getting back to the Golden Horde, we're talking about supposed Mongol Khanate in the 1300s to 1400s. Okay? And it stretched from Kazakhstan through all the slave states where the Soviet Union, all the stands, okay, you know, all the upper stands, not the lower stands. And through Georgia, Chechnya, a bit of Persia, and Asia Minor, we call it Turkey. Um, be like Turkmenia, Turkestan. Turkestan would be better. Turkey, gobble gobble. You know, like really. Anyway, and probably in their language it sounds something completely legitimate, but us dumbass Americans, Turkey. Okay, we should not allow ourselves to accept stupid things. Okay, the little bitty stupid things we accept pile up, and we all become just a stupid hole. You know, and people fall into holes, and that's not holes are traps. I didn't forget what kind of metaphor I was trying to make there. It was just too awesome for my own good. Yeehaw! All right, I gotta stop looking at how stupid I look on camera. Read stuff more. Yeah. So the point is, no one will win, but the black Kane. That kinda inadvertently, indirectly serves my servant, Gabriel. See, the devils of old have been defeated, and now is another testament that tests man's souls. Now is a heaven whose gates have been stormed, but this has still been heaven for quite some time. For thus it was written, the kingdom of heaven is at hand, over 1,000 years ago, and possibly 1,000 years before that. They said, those of this generation would not die before all these things came to pass. They knew these things. They told each other these things. And guess what? They were right. All those things came to pass within that generation, however long they lived. So, essentially, To be expecting the things which cause people to deny me is to be expecting things that, according to God's word, have already come to pass. So, to deny these things have come to pass is to deny God's word. And by doing so, now you stand on the side of the child enslavers and beheaders, the deceivers and conquerors. Here is who mocks me and calls me a false prophet. Consumerists, whoremongers and warmongers, usurpers, treasonous dogs who would lead you into treachery. If you are defensive when I say Christ spoke against child enslavement, and that is the proper interpretation of those texts, and you call me a liar for saying so, what does that say about you and your motivation? If I say the two witnesses were male and female, God created them, and were not mere mortals, though uh, I never saw where it said like angels or mighty men or anything. I didn't say where it like said they cannot be silly. They cannot have a experiential consciousness. They cannot live life. People just made that shit up. Okay. So if I say the two witnesses were male and female, and that thus was covered up by chauvinists, and so all mankind is redeemable, male and female, and you call me a liar for saying that that is the proper interpretation of this text, what does that say about you and your motivations? If I say, behold genocide, behold those who silence its story, behold those who say they are Jews and are not, and you come to silence my story, and you call that Holocaust a lie, what does that say about you and your motivation? For if you did not admit these things, confess now that you are ill-spoken, and thus repent. Oh, but most of who deny me deny that God exists. They cling to their big bing and their evolutionism, materianism, ismism, razzmatazz, jazz hands. Okay. Bullshit. Evolution is the detriment of society, convincing us we're animals until we act like them. To remove God from man's mind is to remove his conscience, to remove his ability to resist, justifying his actions with natural instinct. All while another prong of the same pincer movement has taught Christians these things, and that the instinct of a Christian is somehow witchcraft or a sign of psychological illness. It's called intuition, and it's only false if it's proven wrong. People who believe in evolution are not scientists. By and large, the vast majority, 99% of them believe in evolution, and they are not themselves evolutionary scientists. They've done no experiments. They've collected no raw data. They simply repeat what they've heard and thus mock anyone who disagrees with them. Because science has become a direct swap with because God said so. So, unless you're wearing a priestly lab coat and have a high holy rectal thermometer in your pocket, you don't know the science any more than the average neo-Nazi knows the Bible. That's why Christianity is not a religion, and science is confusing false Christianity and even false Judaism with true Christianity and true Hebraic faith. Because, as any liberal will tell another liberal, Jesus was a liberal. Okay? Therefore, people not acting like liberals, real liberals, compassionate, empathic people, they're not Christians, are they? So stop calling them Christians just to excuse your okay? You have much less understanding of science than a real Christian has of the Bible. That's why Christianity is not a religion. Science is. It's something you've memorized and repeated in snippets and slogans, just like the hypocrites, just to feel justified in your need to mock others, just like the hypocrites, and to feel better about yourself, just like the hypocrites. Meanwhile, back in reality, the brainwashed masses continue to defend Muslims and mock Christians. And another free nation falls every year. More Sharia, more beheadings, more ethnic and cultural cleansings, and more misinformed people thinking they're being liberal when they continue to bitch about the Crusades. Even though that was, about 1,000 years ago. And what's happened since then? Islam has more people in this century than died in World War II. Okay, they've done more of a Holocaust than the Holocaust. All right? But nobody talks about that. God forbid people wake the fuck up to how they all got their supposed indigenous Muslim countries to begin with. All those countries weren't Muslim. The Muslims that were originally there, if there were Muslims originally there, simply killed and enslaved everyone around them. It was a religion of conquest. It was convert or die. And if you happen to be of one of these religions that our book says is okay, you still have to obey our laws and pay for it. You have to pay money to survive. To not be killed, you have to pay them money. Okay, it's some mafia shit. And, well, that's what the Quran and the Muslim holy books say to do. Anyone who thinks the Bible tells Christians to do anything similar doesn't know how to tell the difference between Christians and false Jews. And that's where the whole Zionist Christian comes from. And I'm not saying it's all atheists, people who think they're atheists, people I don't believe in. I'm not saying that's your fault entirely. You helped it along. Okay. You being supposedly taking pride in your intellectuality should have taken the intellectually responsible thing to do and made Christians stay Christian. But you were so ignorant of history, being brainwashed by scholars from the enemy that you had no defense, and you just, oh, well, the way Christians are acting isn't my problem, even though clearly they're not doing anything that Jesus said. They're not Christians. Stop calling them fucking Christians. And don't quote the words of Paul to me. Okay? Just don't do it. Paul wasn't Christ, was he? So if Paul's words contradict what Jesus' words put in your heart, that makes Paul a false prophet, doesn't it? It's as if Jesus said something about this in the Bible. Within that generation, immediately after me, acts of men. Okay. Anyway, they had their reward. See, a true Christian tries to learn the truth of both sides. And thus, a true Christian is actually the most intellectually responsible person there is. A true Christian knows more about both sides than most atheists, and more. Thus, they see the truth that gets caught up in a world of lies. See, the greatest trick the devil ever did was convincing people that he didn't exist. And if you believe that, how naive. The evidence and the history of, everything and everyone proves otherwise. There is no logical argument against it. It's similar to the idea that, oh, God doesn't exist because I'd never seen him. Well, before TV, would you believe the Pope didn't exist? You never seen him. Oh, people talk about the Pope. Well, guess what? There was a Pope. Have you ever been to Australia? Before TV, before photographs of Australia, would you believe, oh, they're just making it up, there ain't no Australia. Well, guess what? TV and photographs and everything, and I still don't believe in atheists. Okay. I don't know if there was a point to that, but I decided to make a punchline instead. Whatever. So, basically, atheism is a religion that is founded on cutesy phrases with no completeness to their meaning, only complicitness to their intention. For if there is no Satan, then why does all this deception come from his self-professed servants and those who say they are Jews, but don't really act like it? Some of them say they're Jews, and they don't believe in God. If you don't believe in God, you're not a Jew. You're an Arab. Be a proud Arab. Be an Arab. Be a Semitic person. Whatever you want to call yourself. But a Jew is not like, a dynasty. You are not royalty. Okay? You are a servant of God. You are a child of God. If you are not a child of God, you are not a Jew. So, Kabbalah, Islam, Mosaic law, all barbaric cover stories put there to confuse and destroy. It's an empire. That empire is named media. And if you don't believe in God or the devil, it's because they propped up the definition you were supposed to expect God or the devil to adopt. And thus you cannot see the obvious because you do not see what they told you not to see. Instead, you see NASA cartoons and charts of monkeys turning into men and charts of human fetuses looking like any other fetus, when in fact, they do not look like any other fetus. Okay? And I wouldn't want to, be condoning murder because I was easily bullshitted. That is the actions of my enemy. Just has one idea. Those are that is the action. It's poetry. What? That was almost funny. Okay. Moving on. Okay. So, these NASA cartoons and monkey charts, somehow, in the mind of an atheist, they deserve more credence than the love God put in your heart, than the love you wound up with, even though 0 plus 0 equals infinity. Because after all, civilization and morality, would have all just naturally developed on their own if it wasn't for Christendom. And Muslims would have just stopped when the weather got too nice and they didn't need their camels anymore. Because, they were just really fond of their camels, so they just wanted to stay in the shitty desert. And it had nothing to do with the Crusader Knights defending fucking civilized humanity. Nothing to do with that. And the Inquisitions and the horrible incidents that happened later certainly had nothing to do with infiltrations from those areas that occurred back then that are just basically identical to the infiltrations that we have this day. Yep. Everything would just be fine. The world would be at peace if it wasn't for Christians, according to the atheists in this country. Yeah, right. Stop being a victim of propaganda. That's all I have to say. If you like this little diatribe, click the fucking like button. If you are a shitty, spineless person and like the whole idea of beheading, fascism, child enslavement, basically media frenzies, keeping people from having a fucking clue about what's going on in the world. And if you enjoy all these false prophet channels preaching the same old thing, making you try to turn against those who protect you, the government, click dislike. Ah, I don't care. Doesn't fucking matter to me. But if you recognize the fact that during a time of war, there might be, in fact, people trying to sow dissent amongst the population against its government, if you're aware of this basic fact, i.e., if you're not a moron, you should click the like button. Eh, good night, everybody. Or good day, or I'm hungry and I need a nap. I've been trimming brush like George Bush all morning. So on that bombshell, it's time to go.